In the late 1980s, walking alone at night through a quiet Japanese suburb carried almost no perceived risk. The country reported some of the lowest violent crime rates in the industrialized world, fostering a deep, nationwide assumption of public safety. Junko Furuta was a 17-year-old senior at Yashio Minami High School. She maintained an impeccable attendance record and high grades, and she had already secured a future position at an electronics retailer to begin her career after graduation. Her attackers lived entirely outside that structured world. They were 4 high school dropouts, acting as chinpira, low-ranking street delinquents who aligned themselves with the Yakuza. This chart shows the framework of the 1949 Juvenile Act. Under this law, any offender under the age of 20 was shielded from the death penalty and adult prison sentences, based on the legal philosophy that minors are always capable of rehabilitation. This idealistic system was designed to handle wayward teenagers. It contained no mechanism for addressing a group of minors who chose to commit systematic, lethal violence. On November 25, 1988, 2 of the boys used their motorcycles to target Junko on her commute home. They kicked her off her bicycle and staged a fake accident, allowing the ringleader to pretend he was a witness and offer to walk her home to isolate her. When Junko failed to arrive home, her parents immediately contacted the police. The responding officers dismissed the report, noting that teenage rebellions were common and assuming she would return when she was ready. To stall the investigation, the captors forced Junko to call her mother 3 separate times. She was made to read a script claiming she had run away voluntarily and was safe with friends, which led the police to stop looking for her. The group brought Junko to the Adachi ward of Tokyo. They confined her to a second-floor bedroom in a standard family home, located in a dense neighborhood where dozens of neighbors lived within earshot. The parents of one of the boys lived in the house throughout the captivity. They later testified that they failed to intervene or call the police because they were terrified of their own son, who had a history of physical violence against them. This counter shows the length of Junko's isolation. For 44 days, the group subjected her to physical and sexual torment that left her face unrecognizable and her body covered in burns and fractures. The combination of the police assuming she was a runaway and the silence of the residents in the house allowed the suburban bedroom to function as a torture chamber for over a month. The ordeal ended on January 4, 1989. After a final 2-hour assault, Junko died from traumatic shock, brought on by 44 days of cumulative abuse. To dispose of the evidence, the group wrapped her body in a blanket, placed it in a travel bag, and put the bag inside a steel drum. They filled the drum with wet concrete and transported it to an industrial lot. The investigation only moved forward months later due to a mistake in an interrogation room. While being questioned for an unrelated kidnapping, the ringleader panicked, assuming his accomplice had already confessed to Junko's murder. Following the ringleader's directions, forensic teams arrived at this industrial site in Wakasu on March 29th. They recovered the concrete-filled drum and used fingerprints to confirm that the remains inside were Junko's. The discovery of the crime wasn't the result of a functioning investigative system. It was an accidental slip of the tongue that finally exposed the total failure of the community's safety net. During the trial at the Tokyo District Court, the 4 main perpetrators were still shielded by the laws governing minors. Their names remained sealed, and the legal focus remained on their potential for rehabilitation rather than the nature of their actions. The court handed down sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years. The legal system treated 44 days of coordinated torture as the lesser charge of bodily injury resulting in death. The ensuing outrage led the tabloid Shukan Bunshun to take the rare step of intentionally breaking the law. They published the killers' real names and photographs, arguing that the severity of the crime forfeited their right to anonymity. Junko's parents also pursued a civil lawsuit, which successfully held the killers' families financially accountable. This set a new legal precedent in Japan for domestic negligence, forcing parents to pay damages for the crimes of their children. When the outcomes of a legal system become so disconnected from a crime's brutality, the public often demands the law be broken to achieve a sense of justice. After their release, 3 of the 4 primary attackers were arrested again for new violent offenses. One was arrested for assault and another for attempted murder after stabbing a man during a parking dispute. This pattern of reoffending shattered the core assumption of the 1949 Juvenile Act. It proved that the system's focus on rehabilitation was fundamentally mismatched with the behavior of these specific offenders. The death of Junko Furuta became the dark turning point that ended Japan's illusion of absolute safety. It forced an entire nation to rewrite its moral code and reconsider the true cost of prioritizing leniency over accountability.